So, you want to become dangerously intelligent? This isn't just about your IQ, education level, or being book smart. Getting a PhD just means that you're a very persistent person. It doesn't mean you're a genius. You can have all of the degrees in the world, but if you don't have the mentality to seek out opportunities, have ambition, and common sense, then you wouldn't even know how to use all of that intelligence in your head. There's a difference. To be truly dangerously smart, that involves a combination of being not only book smart, but also street smart and plus emotionally intelligent. And all of this will make your intelligence absolutely lethal. So, hi, I'm May, and I want to help you level up physically, mentally, and spiritually. If at any point you find my video helpful at all, I always appreciate a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. I'm about to send out an email, by the way, for the first details about my first group trip to a beautiful Greek island next summer, and it's a week-long trip. I'm getting us a pool villa with a private chef and a ton of fun activities that we'll do together. So if you want a nice escape and make some good memories with me and a bunch of other people interested in self-development, people who are just like you, then go check out my website. I only have a few spots to fill, so if you really want to come, then sign up and check your email. That's it. Okay, let's begin. So if you're worried that you have an opportunity in life and you're like, I can't do this, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable enough, trust me when I say this, if you weren't truly capable, the opportunity wouldn't even have come to you in the first place. You definitely belong where you belong. If anything, if you want, you can over-prepare a little bit. Over-preparing for anything, including a test or exam, whatever that is, it makes you so much more confident and it's so unbelievably satisfying. That alone will give you an instant boost, trust me. As well as adopting a growth mindset. This is the most important point and the most direct way to increase your intellect. You need to adopt a growth mindset and constantly be seeking out opportunities to keep learning. The more you can train and challenge your brain in different ways, the better and sharper it becomes. Studying truly does not end with school. You should become a lifelong student because education is something that nobody can take away from you. Knowledge is so powerful, it enhances you, so you should just study until you're no longer getting it wrong. So how you become a lifelong student is that you continue to attend workshops, seminars, take classes, continue to learn new hobbies, pursue any sort of interest that you have all throughout your life. If you're interested in something, just go for it. We're constantly being told by society that if we learn an instrument, we need to become a virtuoso, or if we paint, we need to be drawing perfectly, and if we sing, we need to be in tune and sound like Adele or whatever. No, you do not. Whatever happened to just enjoying things that we like? We don't need to be good at it. If you are, that's fine and that's great, but we can be bad at something and still enjoy. Trust me, I know I'm bad at a lot of things, like I'm bad at baking, for example, but I still like to do it, it's fun, and the more I do it, the better I get at it. Do things because it's fun, not because you have to get good at it, and then eventually you're going to be good at it. You also want to use all of the tools that are available to you. New technology, new ways of doing things. Constantly be open to new technology and learn to use the latest social media platforms, software, new ways of doing research, and getting opinions on things. For example, I used to waste too much time on Google. 50 years ago, that would be like an incredible technology and totally unheard of. Like, wow, you can just search up how to do something, you can get 1,000 opinions on it immediately. Well, Google has been around for a few decades now, and now we should be learning even newer tools and even better tools to serve us better. With old search systems, like when you Google stuff, for example, you're putting in all of the work going through pages of noise. You spend half an hour trying to find out what you're actually looking for while avoiding shady links trying to steal all of your information. And then you gotta sift through all of the different shopping sites with hundreds of mixed reviews and spend all this time reading stuff. You don't know what to trust. It's truly a time suck. And then when it's finally time to buy something that you're looking for, you gotta sign up for an account, plug in all of your information from scratch, and this is just not really the smartest way to go about things. If you want to be smart, we should always be using the latest technology like how it's meant to be used to serve us. I'm about to put you on something. If you have never heard of Perplexity before, Perplexity is not like Google where it's an old school search engine. It's an incredibly powerful answer engine that turns your research time for hours into minutes, where it searches the internet in real time for whatever you want, and then it gets straight to the point in simple words. It gives you all the sources and citations, and then you can even buy any products you search for directly within the Perplexity app. It makes shopping so easy. If you want to research a product, for example, I actually need to get a new slow cooker so I can do more cooking at home. So I just search highest rated slow cooker under $100. It finds you the best products for your search criteria. It gives you a summary of all of the reviews, features, or even compares all of the products if you want to do that. And then when it's time to buy, you just simply click on the Buy with Pro button and it handles everything else, including free shipping. I have never seen an easier way to shop for stuff, and now I can never go back to the old way. Thank you to Perplexity for sponsoring this video. Do check out Perplexity for all of your shopping and research needs through the QR code or the link in my video description. I also want to talk about who is the typical dangerously smart person. What do they do and how do they behave? What are their qualities like? Maybe I'm describing you because you identify with some of these traits, or maybe these are things that you want to work on. I also want to say that this is a bit more describing neurotypical people. So if you're neurodivergent, then you can take what resonates with you and leave whatever doesn't, and be adaptable, because neurodivergent people honestly need to be more kind to themselves in general. Not everyone operates and behaves the same way. I just want to put that out there. So first of all, dangerously smart people tend to be very good at reading people. In reality, you may feel like they can see right through you, and that's because they are very aware and constantly absorbing their environment like a sponge. They know how to ask all the right questions because they're constantly asking questions. They're very curious people. They know there's no such thing as a dumb question, so they're constantly asking questions all the time. Everyone can feel their presence in the room. They have a very strong presence. Not always because they talk a lot, but when they do talk, they talk about stuff that matters. And that makes people actually want to listen to them. It's actually quite funny to see that most ignorant people are always too busy trying to prove how smart they are, and that's all they care about, while actual smart people technically don't even need to prove themselves. They're also the ones constantly questioning themselves and checking themselves and doubting their own abilities instead of showing off, which honestly, if super smart people show their intelligence more often, I don't think the world is ready for that. So they tend to stay quiet because smart people are in their head all the time, very much so, but they're also always learning more and more about themselves, about everything around them. They're strategizing and scheming, and they always think multiple moves ahead so that they can anticipate when things happen. That way they already have 3 different strategies. I think that one way to take that intelligence to the next level is to also trust their intuition and instincts. I'm going to talk about this in a bit. If that person is really, really smart, they will know when they're right and when they're wrong. They can accept fault when you point out a flaw or something wrong with their work or conversation. They know how to take accountability and responsibility for their action. Because as smart as people know this, the more that we know and learn, the less we actually know. It sounds weird, and it is a weird paradox, but it's not like everything has a definitive black and white answer. Even scientific studies can contradict themselves. And that's a whole other Pandora box where certain studies get funded and then other studies don't because there's no financial motivation behind it, or it only benefits certain corporations and they're motivated to fund certain studies that kind of reflect their viewpoint. So sometimes the truth that's presented to you is not always the truth. And smart people know this. Anyway, there's always nuance. Things can always be subjective. Someone else's truth might not be the real truth, but rather they believe that that's the truth. And anyone who dies on some specific hill that isn't solidly objective, like 1 + 1 = 2, for example, then that's possibly led by other things like their own biases, a certain level of emotional intelligence, things that happen to them, or how they feel about certain things. That means it's not always led by logic, and truly intelligent people are open to being wrong sometimes because their perspective could be different from everyone else's. Everyone has their own beliefs and their own truths. They also don't waste time reacting to toxic people's comments or worrying about what other people think of them unless it's necessary. They know it's a waste of time and energy. If anyone's being negative to you or judgmental, just remember, they don't know you like you know you. So they're wrong and they're clowns. That's it. We continue living in peace and we move on. Okay, and lastly, the communication skills of highly intelligent people are so powerful. People listen when they speak. When they write, people will read it. The secret to that powerful way of getting things across is that they're able to accurately and very logically present their own perspectives to you instead of aggressively arguing and raising their voice or using smart-sounding words just to prove a point. Dangerously smart people can break down very difficult ideas for you into very simple terms. They also tend to have a very witty and wicked smart sense of humor, and can understand nuances very easily. Like I said before, the truth can be different for everyone, and they totally get that. But they also like to engage in intellectual and deep conversations because they are constantly finding more meaning in their lives. I want to hone in a bit more about reading and learning because smart people know that in order to be heard and taken seriously, their words need to carry value. And this is from accumulating knowledge and experience so that their words hold more weight and they're not just talking from nowhere. Set aside some time for reading every single day, maybe 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's it. That's not a lot. Neuroscientists say that even simple lifestyle changes like 15 minutes a day of reading will support your brain health for a whole entire lifetime. I always try to read a couple of books a week if I can, but don't put a number to yourself like that. Go at your own pace as long as you're still reading. There was a period when I was reading nothing, no book at all, just scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, and I had terrible short-term memory. I couldn't focus. I felt like I was even wasting a lot of my time. Aimless scrolling makes you dumber, but when you have a book, there's already an intention set already that you're going to get information from it. If you don't know where to start, you can start from anywhere. A few places I like to tap into are reading a biography of someone you hold in high regard. It can be a celebrity or a famous philosopher. You can also read books exploring a country or a culture that's interesting to you. When I was a teenager, I was so fascinated by classical literature because I wanted to understand as many cultural references as possible. So I read all of the classics. I ended up learning which authors I loved, like I love Jane Austen and Edgar Allan Poe and even William Burroughs. I love reading poetry, especially beat poetry, because of how raw and on edge it was. So if you're more into modern day nonfiction stuff, then you can maybe even read contemporary science or technology books. And my favorite topic of all, obviously, are self-help books. I've recommended quite a few of these in my previous videos on my channel, so you can check them out if you have the time. But the best thing I can recommend is read whatever you're interested in. That's it. Another more tangible way to maximize your learning is to choose a new skill or subject that you're very eager to delve into every month or whatever time period you want to choose. For example, you can enroll in an elementary course in a language that you've always wanted to learn, like Spanish or even Japanese. There have been numerous studies showing that studying foreign languages helps to increase your brain power. You can also join in workshops like creative writing, for example, to boost the way that you articulate yourself in storytelling, or even to learn a new programming language like a web development course to understand how to code. People think that consistency is doing the same things every day no matter what. It's a great idea, but what if that doesn't work out for you? Sometimes life happens. Sometimes we're tired. In theory, consistency is about being disciplined, determined, and unwavering, but that's not really what it's about. In practice, consistency is about being adaptable and flexible. And if you don't have a lot of time, then you gotta scale it down and find easier ways to do it. Use all the tools that are available to you to do it faster. If you don't have much energy, do the easy version, do the lazy version. Find different ways to show up depending on your circumstances. Because while yes, we should do our best every day, but our best looks different every day. You can always change your habits to adapt to what you're able to do on any given day. Being adaptable is how you stay consistent. If you need a break, then take a break, but then you pick it up the next day. It's important to have days where you're just doing nothing and chill, rather than being very productive every single day and grind set or whatever, because eventually you're going to be burnt out and you won't be able to be productive at all. And trust me guys, burnout is very difficult to recover from, and you really need to protect yourself from getting to that point. And always schedule in rest days along with productive days, because your body and your mind needs that rest. Another way that I like to compartmentalize how I do things is to pick a time, maybe an hour of the day, where I do all of my busy work, respond to emails, do all like the little stuff like 20 errands, mini errands. And then the rest of the day, I can choose the time to really focus on the more complex projects I'm working on. That way, you won't be all over the place and constantly choosing to do the little things and ignoring the big, complex, difficult projects. Also, if you are curious about something, nurture it and encourage it. Ask more questions. There are truly ain't no dumb questions, and you're not dumb for wanting to learn something new. Nobody is born knowing anything. And like I said before, the more we know, the less we actually know. But don't let that stop you from learning. And don't let anyone shut you down because they're limited in their mindset. That's not your mindset. Curiosity is actually how you develop critical thinking skills by constantly questioning information around you, considering multiple perspectives, being open to new experiences, reading educated opinions, and analyzing situations before you form your own judgment. When you're curious about something, that way you can have something to look forward to learning, and then that can become your goal that you work towards. And that's how you form educated judgment and educated opinion. And whether these goals are short-term or long-term, your curiosity is going to fuel that interest to have those goals and build towards it. In order for you to gain critical thinking skills, you need to critically analyze what kind of media you're consuming. Are you watching junk TV or actually consuming smart content? Maybe following reputable news sources to stay updated on what's happening in the world and why it's happening. In my personal opinion, tech talks are also a really great way to build your knowledge. I've learned a big deal from listening to TED Talks. There are TED Talks on everything, whatever topic you're interested in, especially with self-improvement and finding your success and all of that. And have a journal for yourself. I know this sounds old school, like, oh, haha, it's right, like just good old journaling, huh? But it's an amazing tool. Deceptively simple way to remember things about yourself better. Writing down what you learn about every day is like creating a personal database for your brain. You can always go back to it. You can remember your entire life better when you write it down. So that in conversations, you can bring up the things that you've gone through. This is super useful, especially if you have trouble even remembering what you ate for dinner last night. This also will help you become more observant about everything in your life, your career, the people around you. On top of your day-to-day, you can also include things that you've achieved and what you want to achieve every week. Things that you've learned about, motivational quotes that resonate with you, or even anything that you're inspired by. Journaling is such a powerful tool. It helps you examine your own life, basically. You can even have a curiosity journal to write down any questions that come to your mind throughout the day. No matter how insignificant or stupid they may seem to you, it's not stupid. Then maybe allocate some time on a weekend, maybe on a Saturday morning or something, to delve into those questions, watch a documentary on it, listen to a podcast, or maybe even read some articles or studies on it. Mindfulness can also help you become more curious about yourself. You can start your mornings with a short few-minute meditation, just focusing on your breathing to rejuvenate your own mind, sharpen your concentration, and set yourself up for the day. And if sitting down meditating is super boring to you, you can also take short mindful walks and just give yourself the space to observe everything around you and whatever comes to your head to refresh your mind and jog your memory. This will also help you reset and become more creative. Even just a simple act of breathing in oxygen alone will make you more creative, will make you more intelligent. Also, your zone of genius is actually a Venn diagram right in the middle of your strengths, your talents, and what you love to do. I truly believe that everyone is a genius in something because there's always things that we like. We all have some kind of talent and we all have strengths. That alone makes us unique in the interests that we have, that we can do things that other people can't do. No matter who you are, you have a unique talent. Maybe you just don't know what it is yet. For example, if you're good at a video game, then by all means, become great at it. Maybe you're also good at streaming and you're in the zone. If you can do it as a career, why not? But don't be afraid of being bad at it at first. Everyone is always bad at something at first, right? Just do it for fun, see if you like it, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And especially if you're in the zone, being in the zone alone is just such a magical way to get stuff done because everything else is just tuned out and you're focusing on the very one thing that you want to focus on. We are so unlimited these days, and what we can do as a career, how we can find success, and how we make money, we can do whatever we want. Truly. I'm literally out here giving you advice, and there are people out there believing in me, and brands are sponsoring me and supporting my channel. We don't live in our parents' world anymore. We can do whatever we want these days. I used to have multiple different projects that are just like totally unrelated to each other, and that was so fulfilling to me. It made me happy, it brought me peace, and eventually it became skill sets for me to use for, future endeavors and future projects. So if you're not sure what you want to do, identify what you love to do, not just what you're good at. What kind of activities make you lose track of time and bring you into the zone? For me, sometimes it's yoga or reading or even coming up with ideas for YouTube. So list topics or tasks that you're deeply passionate about, things that motivate you intrinsically, that light a fire in your heart. Regularly write about your own experiences and process and discover what truly resonates with your core self, and consider what comes very naturally to you, things you can do very effortlessly that other people might find challenging. Think about what you want to become remembered for on earth when you go to heaven someday. What kind of impact do you want to have through your work? Think about the compliments that you often already receive. What do other people admire in you that you might not even see in yourself? The way you approach things or the abilities that you have, notice when you feel the most challenged and engaged. Maybe that's where you need to grow more, because quite often your zone is also close to the things that you need to do that will help you stretch your abilities more, and that will show you exactly where you need to be to improve and how you can get to that genius. And maybe even while you journal, you can also conduct a thorough review of your life's work, all your hobbies, everything that you've done, everything that you've been good at, everything that you've liked. What did you like about it? What did you hate about it? Where do you see the most consistent success and joy? And what kind of work do you produce that you feel the most proud of? When does your work not feel like work anymore? If there are no constraints, no holds bar, everything is allowed, what will you choose to do? That's how you find a true sense of your zone of genius. The way you feel about what you've already done and what you want to do, what you're talented at and what you're amazing at, and learning from feedback. Then finding something that you can get lost in. That is so incredibly powerful. Do not underestimate that. You also have real emotional intelligence when you're able to become the master of your emotions. The flip side of this is that your life always feels out of control to you because your emotions are running your life. If you're able to read your own emotions and you know exactly what you feel, what that means, and how to regulate yourself, that way you can make less emotional decisions, which, let's be real, they're never great decisions anyway, and make way for logic so that you can separate what's objectively true and what you think is true, what you feel is true. A highly emotionally intelligent person not only has influence over their own emotions, but also other people's emotions. You're able to make people feel something about themselves, feel at ease, and move and influence people. Also, by the way, if you identify with having low emotional intelligence, this does not mean that you're stupid. I thought I was emotionally low intelligence for the longest time, but I learned to get better at it, like a skill. If a person doesn't know how to ride a bike, you wouldn't consider them stupid. They just didn't know how to ride a bike yet. Nor have they ever been put in a situation where they are required to ride a bike. Like maybe your parents never showed you how to regulate your emotions because they didn't know how to do it themselves. These are all things that you learn through studying and practice. Life will test you in different ways, and some tests will be harder than others, but you will always be able to handle it. Always. Take as much time as you want developing emotional intelligence because it takes a lot of realizing things one by one. But all of the tactics that I mentioned in this video, like curiosity, critical thinking, and journaling, all of those things will help you a lot with developing more emotional intelligence. I honestly say that it took me years to develop awareness about my emotions and a few months to go from relatively low to middle intelligence to becoming a master over my emotions. The thing that truly clicked for me is when I started studying Stoicism. It really helped me. It's a school of Greek philosophy where you switch from living by how you feel in the moment to having set values for your life. Things like focusing on what you can control and forgetting about what you can't. Avoiding gossip and complaining, and understanding that all of us as humans, we have so much in common and we're never going through anything alone. I made a video about Stoicism. If you want to watch that, you can check it out. But Stoicism brought me so much peace in my life, and I can even say that it helped me master my emotions. It's not wrong to feel things. Feeling emotions is such a powerful and incredibly beautiful thing. We shouldn't fear this at all. We should all learn to feel more and see the beauty in it. I've mentioned this before, but your anger, for example, is actually a protector. It knows when you're being mistreated. It knows when you're being disrespected. Your sadness actually gives you clarity that you're not living up to your values and you don't feel aligned. Something isn't clicking in your life right now. And if you're constantly anxious and overthinking, that means you're living in the future, constantly thinking about all of the worst case scenarios, all of the bad things that can happen. If you know the source of why you feel a certain way, that's how you can tackle the root problems of any issue. Then it no longer becomes an issue because you're able to mix logic in as to why you feel the way you do. You can understand yourself even better as a result, and you're able to solve those issues more objectively. That's how you can regulate yourself. If you want to cry, let it out, give yourself time, and then once you're done with that, you can pick yourself back up again and you can control that. That's emotional regulation. It's not feeling nothing all the time. That's not emotional regulation either. Just don't get lost in those emotions and let that lead you. It's kind of like a pet dog that wants to pee, so you let it outside so you can go do it number one or take it for a walk. You don't let it pee all over the house. It's kind of a funny way to put it, but that's how I would put it. You also can't be super smart without being healthy. You just can't. Your physical health is so important, so learn to fuel your mind by fueling your body and making sure you're getting enough nutrients, because truly if you don't have health, you don't have anything. You don't have intelligence. You don't have anything. Get tons of sleep and drink a lot of water. Seriously, just do it. If you're dehydrated and running on no sleep, I promise you, after a few days, you can't even think properly. Lack of sleep and water is literally used as torture methods because while yes, your body is amazing and you can survive for a while on lack of sleep and a bit of water, and you can survive off of like maybe an adrenaline rush. Imagine a raisin and a grape, right? When you're getting a ton of sleep and water, you're like a grape, but then if you don't have that, you become like a raisin. And that's when you're so deprived, you're just barely surviving and you can't tap into your brain literally. Incorporate more brain boosting foods into your diet as well, including food like walnuts or blueberries. You can snack on those during your studying sessions or while you're reading. I'm always eating blueberries while I work. It's one of my top 3 snacks, period. Eating fatty fish as well, like salmon in your meals bi-weekly. I do try to eat salmon 2 to 3 times a week, and I take omega-3 supplements every day for so many things: skin, brain health, immune system, healing. I've also been trying to go for matcha over coffee these days for a milder caffeine spike, because matcha releases caffeine more evenly throughout the day, which helps me focus better. And matcha also has a ton of antioxidants over coffee, and it's also really great for your skin and a bunch of other benefits. Guys, I hope you continue to become lifelong students. Intelligence is truly a skill. You can literally build your IQ and your EQ. I'm not even kidding. Thank you so much again to Perplexity for sponsoring this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.